Hola chicos! Today we're going to be starting Unit 4A, and this is just a video to explain some of the grammar and vocabulary concepts that you will be encountering during this unit. So, let's get started. So, in Unit 4A, here are the things we're going to be talking about. We'll be talking about places in a city. That's some vocabulary that we've already kind of started in class, so some of these words will already be familiar to you. We're going to be talking about estar, which we just did last unit, so should be really easy. And then also some prepositions, specifically prepositions of place, which are words like next to, on top of, inside of, outside of, under, all of those words. And then phrases, how to say something that you have to do. So that's just a complete phrase that we'll be learning later on in this unit. So first of all, we have to remember the verb estar. Now, in estar, there's an accent mark that is super, super important. Anybody remember what letter it goes on? Hopefully you said that it goes on the A, and the A is where we should have an accent mark in almost every conjugation that we do. So we have estás, está, estáis, and están that all have an accent mark on that A anytime that we conjugate the verb estar. If it doesn't, it does not mean the same thing. So we have to remember those. Now, one quick reminder that with está can mean is for he or she or it. So the way that I would say it is, I would use the verb está. Están is for they, or y'all if it's ustedes, but it's ellos and ellas, right? It can also mean for they, like things, like the pineapples. I would also use están in that case. Now, I mentioned this really, really briefly before, but I'm going to mention it again. Anytime you're talking about how you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. Instead of using ser, which would be es, for the word is, we're going to use estar in this case. That's one of those things where in English there's only one way of saying the word is, but in Spanish there are two different verbs that both mean is. Estar is used when we're talking about our emotions, which we just did, and when we're saying a location of something, which we're going to be talking about in this unit. So you should have this page just chilling in your Canvas. Here are all of the different places that we're talking about. Hopefully a lot of them look really familiar. Got some stuff like la tienda, la iglesia, over here el templo, el aeropuerto, el museo, lots of stuff that should look familiar. Now, when we want to talk about where something is related to something else, here's a formula we can use. In the first blue blank goes the place. Then we have to use the verb estar conjugated for whatever we're talking about. Then we use our preposition of place, which is also on that vocab sheet. And then we use the place that it's related to. So here's an example. El banco está cerca de la plaza. So go ahead and guess which one of the meanings that is. Hopefully you said the bank is close to the town square. That is what that sentence is saying. We have a place, estar, a preposition to tell how it relates, and then another place. Now, let's put the bank close to something else. What if we're saying el banco está cerca de el templo? What does that mean? Hopefully that one was really easy. The bank is close to the temple. Now, there's one thing we have to remember, and it's a lot like when we had a plus el. Remember, they combined together through lovely fusion of words to become al. In this case, when we have de next to el, it's going to become del. So you see right there, it's just the end of the yellow word next to the beginning of the bluish purple word. They just combine together to become del. So we would end up with el banco está cerca del templo. All we did was just get rid of a space and one of the two repeated E's. And that's all we had to do. Now, just a couple more examples. What if we're not talking just about buildings? What if I don't want to tell you how the bank relates to the temple? I want to tell you that I am close to something. So we're going to use the same exact formula as before. This is just what we saw on the last slide. But we have to make sure that the estar changes because it's not always going to be estar. For example, well, the estar has to relate to whatever the first thing was. So, for example, I am next to the bakery. I know that for I, I'm going to use yo, and since the estar is conjugated for the thing right before it, we know that the version of estar that I'll use has to match yo. So it would be yo estoy al lado de la panadería. Next up, you are close to the post office. I know that in English we would say, are you close to the post office? But I made it match the order that we're going to use the words in Spanish. Go ahead and take a guess really quick what you think you would say for this sentence. All right, let's see what we've got. So for you, we're going to say tú, and then the matching version of estar is estás. So we're going to start this by saying, tú estás cerca del correo. And you notice in there we had de el correo next to each other between the end of the yellow words. We had de, and then the first word over here was el, so it combined to become del. Let's do one more example. My friends are in front of the animals. Don't know why you would say this unless you're in a zoo, but take a guess at what you think the answer might be. All right, so let's see what we have. My friends, we're going to say mis amigos. The conjugation of estar that we'll use has to match mis amigos, which is they, right? It's a group of people. So, mis amigos están enfrente de los animales. So, in this case, since we had los animales, we don't have that E at the end of the yellow and then an E at the end of the blue, at the beginning of the blue, like we would if it was el animal. So we don't have to do a combination here. The only time that the yellow and the blue combine is when it's de and then el. Not de with la, not de with las, not de with los, just de next to el. All right, so eso es todo. That's all. Next time we're going to talk about things that I have to do, like I have to go to the store, but that is for our next video. Good luck, and please let me know if you have any questions at all, and have a great day. Bye, guys.